Okay, we're back with a different kind of video because all of this transition period of having to move out of this apartment just means like, oh, there's so much I'm going to miss, including my like hospitality hosting era. I've always loved hosting events, hospitality related things. And that was part of the reason why I decided to invest and get my own place and pay a lot more rent than I was before, because I was usually living with roommates and would pay a lot less. But this is something that I was really passionate about because I feel like a lot of intentional relationships and deepening of friendships, sisterhood happens within the home. There is a huge difference when you can bring people into your home. And I've just noticed like conversationally, while it's not rare, it's actually common for me and a sister or someone to be out eating and we're like crying and sharing our testimonies at a restaurant for like 3 hours plus. It's still a little different. It doesn't feel like the most welcoming place to be super vulnerable. It just happens to be a place where we start to get vulnerable and then all of that happens. But if we were in a home, it just feels a little safer. You feel a little less careful about what you say versus not because you're not in public. And also you have the freedom to just cry. Hence, some tips that I'll be sharing about that, especially if you want to have some of these intentional conversations at home and people are going through stuff all the time, you know? So I want to share some of my favorite tips, my favorite things in the home that I've found really helpful when hosting. One recommended reading I have for you is The Gospel Comes with a House Key by Rosaria Butterfield. And it talks about like radically ordinary hospitality and how impactful that was for Rosaria Butterfield. Highly recommend that book. Editor Nicolette here. Okay, so I wanted to clarify that the things that I share in this video, they are not essentials to showing love and hospitality to strangers, to brothers and sisters in Christ, etc. They're just tips to either make it elevated, make it slightly more easy for you, things like that. Or I mean, they were helpful for me, so hopefully they're helpful to somebody. But I wanted to clarify this because Rosaria Butterfield, in her book, she actually emphasizes ordinary. Ordinary is like the key word, ordinary hospitality, your ordinary home, ordinary meals, ordinary moments in the day that you're bringing people over and loving them. So in that, it's not about having a flashy event or having the aesthetics. I love aesthetics. I love vibes. That's not the main point though. And there should be intention behind it. And it's not always going to look like that. You're sometimes going to have a hot mess of a situation and still want to have people come over or someone needs to have a conversation, whatever it may be. And I wanted to mention that in different seasons of life, you're going to have different ways that you're going to serve. And so in this particular season of life, after much prayer and like the Lord providing and opening a way, I was able to, for a few years, have my own place, have the resources because I was still working full time and could host and pay for a little bit more elaborate settings and to think about, you know, what kind of environment I wanted my place to be. Right now, if I were to host, for example, I'm not much in my hosting area. I'm really far from everyone. But if I were to host, it would be in consideration of a tighter budget and the fact that maybe it's just more basic because right now, a lot of things are more practical, you know? So different seasons have different things. And I was really glad that in that season, I could focus more on these special moments because that was something that not many people get to experience day to day. And that was something that it's like one of my love languages kind of in a way. So wanted to clarify that no matter what your circumstances, you can show radically ordinary hospitality. You don't need all the bells and whistles. You don't need these things that I'm mentioning in this video. Back to the video. My general inclination towards wanting to have people over or wanting to have people come together for something enjoyable and intentional means that a home is a primary place for that, for me. So
this is a reminder, make rest.
Okay, perfect timing because I will be talking about that too. Who knows what they're doing with all our data and what they hear from us. I do use Alexa a lot and she's very helpful in the chaos of the day-to-day when you have someone coming over and you need to like remind yourself of certain things while you're like running around scrambling. Because I'm having someone over a little bit later. So it was reminding me to start the rice so that it's done by the time they get here. Okay, so Where should I start? I have like notes here because there are so many things I want to include. Hosting and hospitality is such an important thing for me that it's something that I intentionally look for factors of that when I'm even finding a place. So even when I was trying to find an apartment, I had this really extensive checklist, not meant to be like, I want all these things, because honestly, I'll be lucky to get even a few of these things, but it just helps me to gauge what I'm looking for and which apartments are, more conducive to what I'm looking for versus not. And one aspect of that is how hospitable it is when you come in. What is the vibe when you come in? How much like natural lighting do you get in? One key thing in the hospitality realm is parking. Because there's nothing more annoying than you have a bunch of people over and parking is impossible or it's a pain, there is no parking. So one thing that I wanted to make sure is parking is easy, flexible, etc. The one thing that this building doesn't have, the buzzer. It doesn't allow someone to buzz you and then like you open the door from afar. Even though that can be a little bit annoying, it turned out being a blessing in disguise because then I have to escort my guests here. And I think that's also a good hospitality thing too. So I learned to appreciate it, even though there's some things that make it hard, especially if you have multiple people coming and they're all coming at different times. People who regularly come over, they know the drill. Like they know to take my extra keys and they'll like bring other people in and stuff. So that's one thing that this building didn't have, but I was okay with that overall. I found my place. I moved in. From the beginning, when I start envisioning a space and the decor, I like sketch things out. I don't know. It's like a creative explosion for me to be able to like take a space and make it into something. So I'll kind of sketch out what I think certain areas will be functional for when people come over, or what areas will be more used versus not. What areas are people going to be stationed at more likely, and then what kind of vibe do I want them to feel in that corner or that space. So I start thinking about like the basis for decor, furniture. How do I want them to feel? Some basics. Okay, one is having your Wi-Fi password readily available. So I have, maybe I'll just like bring you over. So here, right here, this is my little acrylic board. Can you see this? I love using acrylic boards because I use like chalk pens and you can just reuse them. You could use them for whatever purpose. I put my Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi password here so that if anyone asks, it's very simple to just point them to this. Some advanced ones, or if you have like an NFC, or if you have a QR code that they can use to like scan and get the Wi-Fi. The other thing is I have a lot of outlets and outlet extensions. So right here, I don't know if you could see here. Here I have a whole bunch of USB and outlets on the side, on the top. So that's one. There's another in this corner. And sometimes this one is helpful if I have a tea kettle that I want to keep on nearby, or something else electronic that's for serving needs. And I have another one here hiding that people can use as well. So I have a bunch for whatever people's charging needs. So furniture related things. I inherited these chairs, so that's nice. It's nice to get things that you inherit. This table, firstly, was actually from Amazon, and it's supposedly made in Europe. I love this table. It's kind of this like fake oak veneer type thing. I don't know. You just construct it all. And the thing that I love about it is that this is extendable. You can actually make this shorter to about here, right at this edge. So there's like a middle piece here, and there's 2 extra leaflets in the middle that are stored below, so that if you have more guests and you want like a whole banquet situation, you totally can. So I love that flexibility. I've kept it at this level because even when I'm not using this for guests, I like a woman spreading my stuff and working on things here too. Or when people come over and there's like multiple things that you're serving, or cheese boards and all of that, it's just nice to have enough space, So that's one thing. And then the other thing is these IKEA stools. Oh my gosh, you can't even see. Okay. These IKEA stools are the best. I have a bunch of them. I've like brought some back to my parents' place since I am trying to slowly move things out, but I usually have one on both ends, or I have them around my place as like mini tables with things on top of them. Yeah, they're just hanging around, and basically you can just take them out if you have more guests and you need more seating. They're not always the most comfortable, so I do have cushions for people who don't find it so comfortable, but I use them bare and they're fine, and they're like pretty aesthetic. You see them in a lot of cafes. So there's that. And then this is my this was actually like the unexpected furniture decision that was such a game changer. This is my futon that I have been sleeping on for several years. This was my bed in California. This is my bed here for some time. And I would keep it like this. Like I would not lay it out in full because I didn't want to take so much space in my room. And so I would just like take that much space to sleep on. I don't need much space. I'd rather have more space in my room because my rooms were usually really small. So once I got my own like childhood bed from my home in Jersey and moved that here and had like a real bed for the first time in I don't know how many years, like maybe like over a decade, I decided to turn it into this kind of like sofa dining situation, and best decision ever. Best unexpected decision ever. Do people get crumbs on it? Do people sometimes spill on it? Yes. But I'm like, you know what? It's okay. I'll just wash the covers that I put over it. Ideally, I would have like a waterproof one. I don't. But it's been so nice because when people come, I usually am the one sitting on these chairs, and then most people choose to sit on that side. But someone like sitting in comfort while you're like snacking on things or eating, there's something about you not being like in a stiff chair where people just feel comfortable and they're able to share more and feel relaxed in this space. And that is something that I wanted. I wanted this place to feel like a comfortable, cozy, delightful place, like a little sanctuary. And I think people do feel that. And this helps a lot, especially since I don't really have enough space to have my own like dining area and living room area. So it's kind of squashed in one. And we're all usually surrounding the table with like tea or wine or different snacks or a meal. And so the fact that they could just relax there, I think it's nice. It's kind of cool. I'm like, oh, I do want to incorporate that somehow in my future homes, maybe. Now let's talk about the vibes, and let me try to bring you closer, maybe. Okay, first things, my little tea station. Sometimes it looks different, sometimes it's elsewhere. For now, it's here. Things that I love having is this. This is an electric lighter. Some people say they hear this. Can you hear that? I'm so sorry if you do. I think I'm too old to hear it. I've gone through maybe 2 or 3 of these. Yeah, I love it. I fry it to the crisp unintentionally, but chargeable candles are huge for the vibe. So that, and then usually I'm using like tea light candles or candlesticks or chunky candles in a glass. And if you're using anything other than tea light, please cut your wicks. Okay, this is a wick cutter, and I know it sounds for some people ridiculous, but if you know, you know, like this can be the difference between you being able to use up that whole chunky candle all the way to the bottom versus not. Keep that wick trimmed. Okay, so those are 2 things that I use a lot. And then my favorite, these are from IKEA, the glass. Usually I get the bulk tea light candles from IKEA. I love this one, the square version. I do have some circle ones that were from a different event, but I just keep them scattered in different areas. And then when people are coming over, I'll just like throw tea light candles into them and light them. And it just makes a nice vibe. Candles are so fun for the vibe. Another thing that I love is this light. These are like at restaurants. You probably recognize. They're like wireless little lamps, and there's different modes depending on how like cool or warm you like your lights. And I kind of fade them a little bit so you could dim them a little bit so that, again, vibes. But also what's helpful for it in a practical sense is, you know, I usually have people over at nighttime. So when it's night, then it lights up the table enough where people can see, but not enough where it like kills the vibe. So there's that. I do have like also these candlesticks, and if I do choose to use these, but I try to use them only with people I know who aren't as clumsy because there are situations in which people will accidentally knock things over. It is really nice for the vibe. And then these are leftover from an event that I never put away. But bud vases, these like bud vases that come in bulk, I have a huge number of them inherited from different events and stuff. But these are always nice because if you have some fresh flowers, you don't even need that many, and you just put some flowers in there and some greens in there with some water, it like makes the place look fancier than if not, and it doesn't even take that much effort. Oh, I love this neon light. I designed it myself. I even told the guy he didn't want to make the outline in plastic the way that I have it because it would be too delicate, and he wanted to like create like bigger chunks of the plastic, and I was like, no. He's doing really well. Love, love, love my neon light sign. Invested in that before I even had a place. Oh, and then this rod. Okay, I have to talk about this rod. People who come over often ask me where I got this. This rod is from IKEA. They raised the price. It used to be cheaper, which is why I got it. But what I love about it is that it clamps onto the side here. Like, oh, my knees just cracked. It clamps onto the side of your table, and you can extend this rod. Like this rod can go all the way to the edge. So even if I put another leaflet on this table, you can still extend it. But what I love about it is that if you do a lot of events or you like have people over and you like having some kind of decor, it makes it so easy. Like before I had this, I would have to do something with that back wall. So I would put like a huge happy birthday sign, and I still sometimes do that, like happy birthday balloons and stuff, but this makes it so easy. Even this, I just kept it like this because it just looks nice. And you know, if it's someone's birthday, it's some kind of celebration, it's so simple to just like hang decor on here or like hang a congrats sign or a birthday sign here. Just makes it look full and nice without having to fill up so much space. And it just makes the vibe cozy when you're sitting down with people. So I love using like here, like fish line and ornaments, even though it's not Christmas, it still looks cute. And like fake plants. Speaking of fake plants, Hobby Lobby fake flowers, they're it. They're it. Let me show you. Obviously you have to be picky with what you choose, but let me show you some examples of Hobby Lobby flowers and why they're so much better if you choose the right ones. Okay, here are some Hobby Lobby flowers. I think they look a lot more realistic than fake flowers normally look. Even the green, like this green, I think they've done a really good job making it look real. These baby's breath don't look that real, but I think mixed in with everything, it's okay. The eucalyptus though, my eucalyptus are all from IKEA. I think IKEA does a really good job with eucalyptus. But even these flowers, how they're made, I feel like they just do a really good job. It passes even if it's fake. These are Hobby Lobby as well. This one probably, I don't know how I feel about this one, but I think they look really nice. Not too fake. Let me compare with, now this was just for some random event, Amazon. It's not bad, but I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but up close, even when you see like each petal and such, it looks a lot more fake. Let me show you another. Their cosmos are so pretty. Okay, here are some other ones. These are cosmos from Hobby Lobby, and I think these are really nice too. They are a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit of an investment, but because they're fake and I use them all the time for different purposes, I think it's worth it, in my opinion. Oh yeah, here are some more in my bedroom. These were my OG, you know, I love the neutrals. This one looks a little fake, but another thing, maybe, I don't know how well you can see it here, but these slow sparkle Christmas lights, I think create a really calming effect. It adds to the vibes. So I like the slow sparkle. They are a little bit more costly, but I found them worth it. And I like also that they're flat. They're not pointed at the end, so it's less inclined to crack or break in my experience. So I have the green one for here for anything that's darker or using plants. And then here, where I have my kind of recording area, I have the white ones, my boring beige aesthetic. Also, people loved that I put the mirror here. I really just put it here because this area was so blank and dull and kind of dark, and I wanted to brighten it up. So I found this IKEA mirror that was on sale for a ridiculous price. I can't even remember. Maybe it was 10. So I bought it, but then the dimensions were kind of too square. So I wanted to lengthen it to make it look more balanced. I was like, okay, how can I lengthen this and make it look cute? And I decided either to put like shutters on the side to make it look like windows or curtains. And I went with the curtains. And that up there is just like a really cheap curtain rod. It's supposed to look like a cozy window vibe. And it does help a lot with bringing light here. And this corner looks so different. It makes my whole place look spacious because of that mirror. Other things that I'll mention is, so I have 2 command hooks, like the clear ones that are, one is on this side that is holding the neon sign. And I have another one that's holding that little sign, which I think is also cute. I inherited it from a business school friend and his wife when they were moving out. What I love most about my home is who I share it with. So I have these hooks. It's nice because I purposely stationed them in these locations so that I could hang birthday balloons or different decor. So I'll use that during different seasons for decoration in the background. And then I also put them here. It's kind of hidden behind this like ledge. And I use fishing line to hang various things up here. So sometimes I'll hang balloons. Right now I've just been leaving up these ornaments just to add a little, I don't know, a little something, something. Another thing you can do is add curtain rods. So if you add curtain rods like this, you can hang different things there. This is literally a retractable shower curtain rod. Maybe you've seen the hack on Pinterest, but these are so fun to use. Just stick them in any smaller wall and hang things on them. Kind of similar to what I did in my front door area, like here. I just hung some things on there. It's a little busy and it's a little too low, but I was just like, whatever. Whatever. Other practical things. If you are going to be having intentional conversations with the ladies, tissue boxes are a must. I always made sure I had tissue boxes ready and near the table, near where we'll be sitting. Girls be going through a lot. And because you're at home and people are more likely to open up and be vulnerable about things, this is so necessary. You don't want people just like, there's snot everywhere and they like can't even talk because they're trying to find a tissue. So I've just learned to always have tissue on hand. These covers, because the tissue boxes look, they don't match the vibe. They don't match the vibe. So I have a few of these. I think I have 3 of these scattered throughout the place. And it's just a nice way. You just refill it and it's always ready. If you are more budget conscious, because there was a season where I couldn't keep buying these tissue boxes, then this is what I was doing for a while because I got like those Costco tissue rolls. So I had so many that I had to use up. This is actually a knitting yarn holder that I think I got at some random place, Hobby Lobby or something. And I put a tissue roll on it. The one disadvantage of using a tissue roll is that the particles of the tissue, it starts breaking down. So when people are using it for tears and they keep using the same one, it starts like breaking down on their face. So it's not the best, but it works. It does the job and they could just keep using more and I don't have to think about it as much. And it's just, there's an endless roll pretty much. So that's one kind of hack. Maybe. And then another thing on a practical note is in the bathroom, I make sure that there is always some kind of matchbox or like matchbook in there and a candle, just in case people feel a little self-conscious if they blow it up in there. Been there before. I always carry my own matches in my purse. Yeah, so that if they need to do their business and they're self-conscious about someone walking in right after, then they could light a match. Let's see, what else is on my... Oh, other things related to the vibes that I forgot to mention is music. One of my favorite things to use, music and also lights and everything else. One of my favorite things to use is my Echo Dot. I actually got one of them for a gift while I was in children's ministry, and that changed the game. Then I started getting the Wi-Fi outlets for some of my lights so that I could like turn on the lights, turn off the lights at will. So if I say, Alexa, turn off all the lights, I don't know if you could tell, but like everything just shut off. I've set it up so it's like, Alexa, guests are here, then certain lights turn on, and then a certain playlist comes on. Because music is so important, in my opinion, for the vibes. I recommend having a go-to playlist. So my go-to playlist is play Cozy Coffee Shop. That's like my go-to because it's kind of like this cozy, jazzy coffee shop vibe that works for most things. And then you can make sure that whatever setting for guests is like at a certain volume where it's not overpowering. It does make a difference, in my opinion, but maybe that's just because I love music. I either use that or I always have some kind of wireless speaker because even if I'm at a picnic, I want to bring music. I want to bring the vibes. Favorite stores for vibes or just for like things: Home Goods, Hobby Lobby, Amazon, IKEA. That's legit. Most of my stuff is from those places. And some things I want to mention, okay, food related. So one is tea. Tea is like a basic thing you can have when people come over. Like you don't always have to have a full-on meal. You can just do like nibbles and tea, or even just, hey, you want to come over for tea? The ladies love tea. So I do have tea bags, but you know, they explode at billions of microplastics when you put them in hot water, most of them. So I still have bags available because some people prefer that. But one thing that I've been switching over to that I really like is these loose leaf tea holders. And people have asked me so much about this. So I mentioned this to you because they're really cute and they do the job, and people like always, yeah, they love it. They come in and they're like, this is so, I don't know, cozy and cute. So how it works is you basically put this here. I usually have some kind of loose leaf on the table. I try to make everything as self-serve friendly as possible, because sometimes when you're so immersed in the conversation and someone wants some tea or something, like you don't want it to be this whole ordeal where they have to ask you for all these things. So I try to make sure everything's on the table. So I have my favorite Davidson's South African honeybush loose leaf and the tea spoon. And you just take a scoop, you put it in here, and then you have hot water available for them, either on a kettle that is staying warm, or I like this for if you don't really know what's going to happen in the conversation or whatever, and you just want hot water that stays hot throughout the night on hand so that anyone can kind of grab it, then I do like this. There are some quirks to it that you can probably read about in the reviews, such as making sure that you like lock it closed when you're done with it so that it stays hot, and opening it when you pour it. And then when you pour, sometimes you have to like, the angle, you have to like pour it like this. And it feels like you're gonna spill everything out, but I don't know. It's just, it doesn't come out the most smoothly, but it does keep it hot enough for like one evening of people over. So that's something that I have on hand and try to boil water ahead of time if I can. I also always keep on the table, like these are always here, mini spoons and forks. That way, even if people have little nibbles or they bring snacks, or let's say someone brings like little cake, you as a host don't have to always be scrambling about. You can just be like, oh yeah, like everyone grab a little fork and use your little tea plate, and you can easily grab a bite, or they can, again, do their self-serve thing. With these tea holders too, I forgot to mention, what I like about it is that you just do enough where the tea is hot, drink a little at a time, and then they could always keep like putting it away when it's strong enough and then like refilling, you know? Anyways, I have to prep for my friend coming soon, so I have to rush this. I always have a new bottle of wine available just in case. You never know. Some people are going to come over. There's something to celebrate. Some people just want a glass of wine. I haven't had people come over for wine. It's usually been a lot of tea lately, so haven't used this bottle, and it's been a while. And then I also have a bunch of wine glasses, not expensive ones. They're cheap. They're from IKEA. Those packs of 6 in IKEA, the basic ones, because things break. right? Things break, accidents happen, and you don't want to be like so, I don't know, caught up in that, like, oh no, one of my glasses broke, and it's just like, oh, these are easily replaceable. So that's another thing. Cheese boards. I have so many cheese board looking things or cheese board type of things. Cheese boards are one of my go-to hosting snacks because once you learn a little formula to it, it's very easy to put together. You kind of know what you need to get at the store at Trader Joe's. And I just put together a cheese board, have some tea things available, and it's like you have this whole hosting setup. So I love cheese boards and love having them, especially since even if you have some little snacks, if you just put them on a cheese board, it looks put together. It looks nice and it looks fancy, or people think it's fancier than it really is, even though you're just putting some like crackers on it and like 2 cheeses on it or something. Another thing that I love, this was probably a home goods, these are probably home goods buys, but some cute bowls, like accent bowls. And if you have like berries or little snacks and stuff, you know, you just put them in those bowls because they look, I don't know, they look a little nice, you know? And then this elevated cake stand, I have a few of these. And again, this just elevates whatever snack or whatever you have available. Sometimes instead of a cheese board, I'll use even this and just put things on here. It adds some dimension to your table setting. Another thing that's really helpful for if, let's say you're celebrating someone's birthday and people bring desserts and cakes and you just like lay them on here, it just makes it look nice and like you've made it into this sweet little event, even though it's just this casual, like someone coming over bringing cake for another person. Also love carts. So I have 2 carts. I have another cart used for a different purpose, but carts can be really helpful if you want like a station of whatever beverages or like tea or something that you just drag out and plug it in if it's an electric kettle or something. I don't use it that often anymore because I'm using all my carts for specific purposes right now, but carts are really helpful to have on hand too. These are some things that are just me. So I have some placements out here just to show you, but for me, one, I got a very cheap set of plates so that when people come over, I have plates that are a set. These are IKEA. They're actually really easily scratched and they're not the greatest, but it does the job. It was like $30 for a whole set of the bowl, salad plate, main plate. I don't even remember how many there are, but there's like enough for your guests, for my guests at least. And then to make things look a little elevated, this is like kind of extra, but something I learned from my mom is having charger plates. So this is probably one of the things that guys will think is so dumb. Like, what is the point of having this when you're not functionally actually using it to eat on, and you're not supposed to eat on this, and you can't even really wash it like normally. You have to be very delicate with it. But when it comes to table settings, having either like a placemat or some kind of charger plate to put these like plain plates on, whether it is to create contrast or just make it look a little fuller, it makes a difference. Maybe you can't see it, but it does make a difference. I also have, you know, obviously enough utensils for people who come over. And then basic napkins, IKEA, whatever. I always have these kind of napkins in a cabinet nearby so that I can easily grab them when people are over. When people are over, it's a little crazy. So you want everything to be like easily reachable on hand, you know? So then I just always just fold it like this and just put my setting like this. And it just looks a little more elevated again, and people feel special, like you invited them to a fancy event. And then usually I'll have water glasses, wine glasses, whatever we're drinking. What else? Table runners. I love table runners because they kind of break up the space and allow you to place things in a way that looks a little more structured and neat. Oh, use the dishwasher. If you're an immigrant family, you probably have to train yourself to do so, but that is one thing that I always use the dishwasher anyway. But for me, this is a me thing. Okay, use your disposable plates if you want. Like, that's great. That's fine. You do you. You do what you want to do. For me, though, it makes a difference when you have people eating, even if they like bring things that are in plastic containers. I like putting them on plates. That's something I'm willing to go the extra for so that I can make it a nice experience for them. Even my friends who think it's extra, they do admit that it's nice. Doing the dishes, that's part of the experience. Like that's something I have to do that is worth it for the experience. And I use the dishwasher anyway, so it's like really not that much work. That's something that's very important to me, using the dishwasher. Other helpful tips is to have a go-to dish, go-to dessert, like go-to snack, something that's really easy and that you've kind of know the drill. You don't have to think so much when you're doing it. Because again, sometimes you don't know when people are coming over, or when people come over, there's like too much to think about maybe logistically, or you're just busy. So just having that go-to dish where you're like, okay, I just need to go to the grocery store and get these things because I've done this and I know what to do. I know the ingredients I need. It's a simple 20-minute prep or something. Find those dishes and practice them, especially ones that people love. I have some now, finally. I've tried to research, and I'm still doing more research on that, but I have at least 1 or 2 dishes. Whenever I make them, people are like, oh, this is good. And it's pretty simple to make. Ideally, it's something that's even easy to make if, for whatever reason, someone comes more impromptu than you expected, or they come early and you want to still converse with them and stuff while prepping. Ideally, you would prep everything in advance. But if that does happen to be the case, it's nice to have something that you know so well that you're not so distracted and you can still spend time with that person in the midst of the prep. Also, just knowing what are some go-to things you can get at the grocery store when people come over that is solid staples. One for me that a friend put me on is the Trader Joe's salad. I will show what it looks like here. Any person who's come to my house, and if there's a salad, it is this salad. It tastes fancy, even though it's just several dollars from Trader Joe's. You could easily put it together, and it's a mix. So even your friends who want to help, if they come early or something, can easily help you put it together. Those are win-win things to know or have in the back of your pocket. Or in your back pocket. I don't even know the phrase. Another thing I always do is try to have the less perishable snacks on hand. So because I always tend to do cheese board type of things, the parts of the cheese board that are not as perishable, like the crackers and stuff, I tend to keep it in a certain corner where there's snacks ready for if someone were to come over. I can just throw some crackers and dry mixed nuts and stuff onto a cheese board and maybe buy a couple cheeses or something simple and call it a day. I think I mentioned this before. Have your go-to playlist. 2, this is a personal thing. You do not need to keep your place clean to have people over. But for me, because it depends what's your vibe you're trying to have when people come over. For me, I want a space where things are orderly, clean, nice, cozy, comfortable, because everyone's coming from a chaotic life, usually. At least my friends. And it's really funny because I thought intentionally, how do I want them to feel when they come here? And then when people come here and say those exact adjectives or say the exact thing that I was going for, when they're like, oh, this feels so XYZ. I love coming here because it's so XYZ. I'm that's why I wanted it to be that way. So one part of that for me is having it be orderly and nice. So it helps me to discipline me to make sure this place is relatively clean, this public area. So I tend to keep it relatively ready for impromptu visits, or if someone just happens to be in the area or someone just needs to talk, I like having it ready. So that's just a personal thing that I do. Another thing is if you haven't heard of the book called Power of Moments, it's such a great book that encompasses, if I could articulate my thought process when I'm thinking of hosting an event. I love events. I love sparking joy in people through some kind of event or experience and being intentional with things that people don't expect. So if there was a book that could articulate what's kind of intuitively going on in my brain, Power of Moments does a great job doing that. I was like, oh, someone can actually explain the thought process going on, where essentially they talk about you can design these kind of defining moments that can impact someone's life or your relationships or something. They can actually be significant moments, and you can foster that or design a moment like that to help people have that kind of experience. Those kind of things are what I even think of when I have people over for maybe something that's not even that big. What is something that kind of changes the script, unexpected surprise for people, even though you're just doing another brunch or you're just doing another tea time. But what's something that can bring an element of, whoa, I didn't know you were going to do this, or whoa, this is so cool that we get to do this. So one example, let me bring it. One example is, and this is the kind of stuff I learned from my mom. My mom is so good with this kind of thing. Like, she's hospitality queen, entertainment queen. But dollar store, this is like a dollar store champagne glass. It was for a bougie brunch kind of thing at my place. And I used my Cricut to use permanent vinyl. And this was my practice one, so I used my name. I don't know if you can see. It has my name on it, and I made one for each lady that was there with their names. And because a lot of them have unique names, it's nice to see your name on something when usually those things aren't available for people with unique names. Something that's from my own childhood too. So I made these for each person. Obviously, they didn't know that they were going to come in to a brunch and be able to take away something with their name on it. Things like that. It's like an element of surprise and makes it a little more like delightful or fun. Other things, because I like to keep my place somewhat orderly, it's not always, but somewhat orderly, but it's a multi-purpose space, right? This is like my work area, my creative stuff, like my recording studio, my hosting area, like dining table, plus living room, lounging area. I have a lot going on in here. And so I actually purposely, because I want to keep this place organized and clean, I purposely create systems where even if I'm using this to record and such, it's so easy for me to put those things away when someone's coming over. So as an example, I have this cart that I call my creative station. It was to help me have a better system so that I can, when I need to record something, it doesn't feel like such a hassle to get all the things I need. It's all in this one cart. And then I just need my tripod with my camera and the lights. But it also helps to have this cart because as soon as I'm done recording or done with whatever I'm doing, I can just drag that cart back into my room and everything's clean. Drag my cart back in. I drag my tripod even has wheels, so I can easily like wheel things back into my room and hide it away. And then when people come over, they don't just see the chaos of like all the things. I even think about things like that. Like, what are easy systems or organization systems where you can use it, but then also have things tucked away. Another example, actually in this corner, I'll show you quickly. In this corner, that's my makeup station. Again, I use this space for everything. So that's my makeup station. And usually if you open that bag, everything's sprawled out. It looks like a hot mess. There's a lot going on. But when I want it to look a little more orderly, I just zip it up and then it doesn't look that crazy. All right, that is all. My friend is coming soon, so I better start making food. I don't think she ate lunch yet. I'm gonna go do that. And hopefully, I don't know, I'm gonna miss this place so much, and I'm documenting this so that I can show some tips before. I feel like I'm not gonna have a hosting era for a while since I'll be living with my parents. I'm gonna have roommates in a tiny 2-bedroom apartment. It's gonna be great. I probably won't be able to do all the things I love to do, like hosting. And so I'm sharing my tips before all this stuff goes into storage pretty much. Oh my gosh, losing my voice. I'm gonna head out. Bye, hopefully it was helpful.